Hey guys, welcome back to another Noob Nerd discussion slash review where I talk all things comics, TV, films, anything I like. And yeah, I've been doing Doctor Who reviews recently and I really appreciate the support on those. If you haven't watched it yet, check it out. It'll be in the description or on one of those cards on top. One of those. I've missed a couple of episodes out, but I'll be doing episode 3 and 4 together in one video of Doctor Who Series 12 in a separate video coming very, very soon. In the middle of the week, in a couple of days' time. So check out for that one. But today, as you can see from the title, I am doing a crisis on Infinite Earths. I just have to say it again, it's gargantuan. It is gargantuan. It's massive event crossover for the Arrowverse. This is basically the DC's version of Endgame. But to say it's their version of Endgame, the writers have said that they've drawn similarities from them. It's natural. It's only natural to compare the both of them. But of course, one's on TV, one's on film, and they both are equally massive, and both are equally should be commended for even happening at all. So yeah, this will be a shorter 20 minute video to speak properly. It's gonna be me more rambling on. I usually write notes for this, but little time. I need to make sure I get that sorted for the next couple of episodes. I like having notes in front of me so I can speak, but yeah, there's so many Easter eggs as well as like story plot points, so it's like I might as well just ramble on, talk about the things I liked, things I disliked. I didn't really dislike a lot. I dislike little things in it, but for the most part it was hugely satisfying. Of course, for a few people I think it was a bit disappointing in some areas. And there is an argument to be said that it isn't the best crossover technically. But in terms of fan service and just connecting everything you've seen, it's just brilliant. It really is brilliant. So I'm probably going to go by episode of what it does. And immediately from episode 1, showing you every single little like comic book property from DC television and film. You see that Fort Knox character from Batman 1989. Like, I don't even know what's going on. Like, I haven't watched some of these films, and I need to watch Batman 1989 in full. Just, it makes you want to go and watch all these different versions of different characters, even if they're like 60 years ago and it wasn't ever supposed to be part of the Arrowverse, but because it's grew so big that the writers have been allowed to show these characters on screen and show that, oh, on Earth 12, Swamp Thing's doing this, Earth 69. There's Batman 1989 universe. What else? I'm trying to remember because this came out ages ago. It was like 2 months ago, wasn't it? December, November time. You have the Birds of Prey coming in Earth 203. It's like, wow, like really good stuff, man. And it fills you with giddiness at the start of it as well when they're setting everything up and you have the Monitor talking about the creation of the multiverse. And yeah, apparently I haven't read the actual comic book. Maybe I should do that. Do some comic book reviews. If you want me to do that, let me know. Yeah, let me know your thoughts as well. Obviously, in my opinion, it's not fact. So yeah, immediately that sends off a sense of excitement and just feeling that this is the connective tissue of everything, really. Yeah, part 1, obviously, for the earlier parts, I'm not going to be as good at specific plot points because I might not actually remember some of them, unfortunately. But hopefully I can grasp the main points out. I need to be really quick because obviously time goes really quick when I talk about stuff I like to talk about. Yeah, but the main crux of the episode is the passing down of the Arrow mantle, really. What's her name? Nia Smoke? I don't watch Arrow, by the way. I've only watched the first season. I've watched all of Flash, and I've watched 3 seasons of Legends, and 2.5 seasons of Supergirl. Okay? So, I'm pretty well versed, I guess. Like, if you watch every show, bloody hell, you're a bloody mad lad. But I respect you. I respect you. So, but what they do well with these crossovers, they make you actually give a crap about the characters and give you a basic rundown of what's actually going on. Like, even if you don't watch the show, you still like it. It's like comic books, isn't it? It's like capturing the essence of a comic book. You don't these characters from other comic books popping up, making you want to read their comic books. That's why I watched other shows like Arrow for the first time, even though I was just started on Flash and I was just intending to be in Flash. You know what I mean? So it's hugely satisfying if you watch all of them. And yeah, at the end of the part 1, it was a big bold decision to kill off Oliver. Yeah, kill off Oliver. After, like, it's mad, they killed him off twice actually. But part 1, they killed him off at the end, and that came out of nowhere. It did feel a bit rushed in that sense, but they were going for the shocking factor, showing that this Crisis was going to be a bit different to what people are expecting. Of course, there's been hints about Crisis for years now. Of course, people knew the comic book storyline, so they had a feeling, oh, the Flash is going to die. There's a newspaper on the Flash TV show saying he will die. Arrow's probably going to die because this is his last season. You know what I mean? So you had to try and shake things up. There could have been a different way of doing it. But even the Monitor was shocked. I like that. I like how the Monitor even was shocked that the Arrow had died. Like, he's the representation of everything that's like a godly being, almost. He's the closest thing to a god being. Until the Anti-Monster shows up. So yeah, it is a hugely emotional moment for me at the start of that crossover for me. Like, I've only watched one season Arrow, but Stephen Amell kills it every time he's on the crossover. And the fact that he saved 1 billion lives is like mad. Does it matter though at the end? Because they have a new Earth and stuff, but who knows? And his daughter, I've never seen his daughter. Apparently she showed up in the new season of Arrow, but from what I've seen here, from the little screen time, well, they give her more screen time than most other characters because they're trying. But in hindsight, it's a good choice to give her more screen time because she's going to be the one who's going to take over after Arrow dies. You have more scenes with Arrow. You have more scenes with Nia. I think that's her name, Nia Smoke. Correct me if I'm wrong. She's a really likable character, it seems, and she's going to be a pilot. She's going to be a star of a new pilot for Green Arrow spin-off with the Canaries, and for me, for someone who's never seen her before, and she's Oliver's daughter all of a sudden, much like how the Flash has his own daughter who came back from the future, parallels and all that. Yeah, she was a really likable character, and her emotion when she sees her father getting killed, of like, really good acting there, man, really good acting. What else happens? You have the Shadow Demons introduced. I think this was a little bit of a concept teased in the newspaper in the Flash, but they fully went with this Shadow Demon idea, and watching back all the episodes, they could have done a better job with the fight scenes with that, in my opinion. Didn't feel as epic or on scale as other crossovers. Maybe because there was less people, because of course they have the whole Paragon storyline. So maybe less people, they're just punching air, it's just CGI. They look like time wraiths from the Flash, so it looks like this idea's already been taken already. So yeah, that was a bit of a disappointing. But that's probably the most disappointing thing in this whole crossover. And that's saying a lot. That's me like being nice, because God, let me word that wrong. That's like the only bad thing about this like thing, and they don't even appear that much. So it's like they're just there for cannon fodder, you know what I mean? And the real crisis is this antimatter wave killing all the Earths, and that's the end of the first part as well. All of Earth 38 is dead. Supergirl's Earth is no more, and they do a good job of conveying that emotion. And you see, of course, Argo City's being killed, and I like how they got Clark Kent to send his baby away, just like he was sent away by his own dad. That was really surprising scene I didn't expect. That's one of those things where it's a good parallel to have. It's not taking anything by the comics, it's his original concept, but being like, oh, what if Clark has his own baby? What if he could send his own baby just like his dad did? Such a satisfying moment, and show not tell again. It doesn't tell you, oh, look at me, symbolism. Like, you do the action, and the action speaks for itself. Really cool stuff. Part 2, let's move on to part 2. Definitely a more interesting episode in terms of talking points that people were debating about. Let's talk about when Superman and Batman introduced, because that was the main crux of the episode. These new Paragons, almost like a setup for the Justice League. You could tell. The Justice League is always about the essence of these. Of course, this movie wasn't the best, and for many reasons. Joss Whedon, of course, was brought in to actually make it a bit like the Avengers. Let's be honest. And some moments it worked, but the best thing about to differentiate Justice League from Avengers is that Avengers it works better when it's that relatable team coming together to avenge the day that it gets a bit messy sometimes. Of course, the Justice League, they're humans as well. They can make mistakes as well, like the Avengers. But what makes the Justice League so impactful for many people in a different way? They're both different teams. They're not the same thing. Justice League prides itself on being gods among men. Almost like they're striving to be that inspiration sometimes, but the relatability is that sometimes they can't handle the struggle. They can't handle the struggle. Sorry if it came dark. They can't handle the struggle for living up to those expectations. And I think the Paragons were a good little way of just tucking that in there. And then of course it all leads to Justice League by the end. Really cool stuff. And then I think we have Batwoman looking for they're looking for fellow Paragons to be with him. I like how Martian Manhunter is one of them as well. He hasn't been treated the best in the CW shows. When they use him well, but they need to use him more. And I think after Crisis, they used him so much more than we should. They used him so good here. Like they should have been using him like that all the time. But of course, I get it. Supergirl show, it's her show. I understand. But that's in the later parts. In the part 2. Batwoman's looking for Kevin Conroy, Batman, and they think he's the paragon of justice almost, I think. Not paragon of justice, but he's one of the paragons. But no, he's not. Turns out he isn't. But before that, they introduce him. You have a weird version of Luke Fox. He's in the Bruce Wayne first time. You see Kevin Conroy, such a fan moment. Of course, I know it was already announced, so it wasn't a spoiler, but hearing his voice is just something to behold. Even to someone like me who hasn't actually watched much of the animated series, again, something I need to watch. Watch Mask of the Phantasm though. Mask of the Phantasm is a great animated movie. If you haven't watched that, highly recommend it. And I thought his character served his purpose well. Portraying Kevin Conroy was like, holy crap, he's a good actor. Not just a good voice actor, a good actor. Bloody recounting lines from the comics, of course, that's a fan's dream from The Dark Knight Returns. Essentially portraying that beat down Batman. Of course, and then he says Ben Affleck lines, and someone who likes Batman v Superman, bloody I like it. I love it. When he says, my parents taught me a different lesson. Chills, mate, chills. And of course people are going to be a bit disappointed and maybe a bit pissed off that he wasn't the good almighty Batman that you see from the Batman animated series. Or maybe not just even the nice old man Bruce trying to help out a Batman Beyond. People are disappointed that wasn't the case, but it served its story well in making Batwoman realise that she can be a paragon. That Bruce Wayne, that's not about Bruce Wayne anymore. He's just there for Batwoman to become the paragon. He's evil, he's become twisted from his ways. He's killed Superman. He's killed all these other villains. And that's a really dark way of looking at it. And that might rub people the wrong way. But I didn't mind that whatsoever. What was a bit annoying, which I could relate to some people's criticisms, was that the way he died was a bit weird. Batwoman's speech sometimes. No, Batwoman wasn't annoyingly like, oh, I'm sick. Like, that, like, it wasn't that bad, like. So, to be fair, I'll give them props for that. I think it was really good. It was really good. Of course, the fan dream is to have him be like, I don't know, like, have him be like a movie budget, make him younger, make him like Batman animated series. I'm not saying people wanted that, but like, you know what I mean? Like, make him be less dark. But he did well with the script he was given. It served the story well, in my opinion. And it was all about Batman. They served it well with Batwoman being the new paragon. Of course, you could say it's feminist propaganda, but you know what I mean? Like what else do you want to see him? Like, there's always going to be people disappointed, especially when they gathered hype from all these castings. But the Superman who appeared, Part 2, in Part 2 as well, Brandon Routh's Superman. He is a revelation. He is a revelation. In fact, I don't think you saw him enough. But when you do see him in Part 2 and Part 3, you don't see him nearly as enough. But that one scene when he explains about that new Kingdom Come symbol, he has gone from Christopher V Superman to this Kingdom Come Superman. And Brandon Routh portrays the Superman most likely even better than the Superman Returns version. Superman Returns was a good movie I watched when I was a kid. But when I watched that Superman, I wasn't like Superman, you know what I mean? But that's what you should feel like. You should feel awestruck from this mighty figure. And Brandon Routh portrays it beautifully. Fantastic. His old nuances, such as his introduction scene, for one, when he meets the other Lois Lane from the other universe, who's part of the Supergirl Earth, of course. And they're like, you look so familiar. It's just the tone of his voice just seemed like he's evolved. He stepped into the role as if it's always been his. And now he has got the role, and it will forever be defined by that role, even when he didn't return by Superman Returns. Yes, I said it. He will be defined by that role. He already was after Superman Returns, to be fair to him. Such a role is always going to define him, and any actor who plays Superman. But this in particular is going to be something they think about. When they think of Brandon Routh's Superman, they will think of Kingdom Come Superman. The way he speaks about why is it black? Why is the symbol different? Why is there black in it? Because it's hope that cuts through that darkness. Sensational explanation. I don't know if that's actually from the Kingdom Come comic. That's something I need to read ASAP. But nevertheless, fantastic writing, fantastic dialogue. Even when he's getting mind controlled and fighting the other Superman, the CW Superman, decent CGI for a bloody TV budget. Of course, it could easily look very, very cheesy. And sometimes it has done in other CGI segments in Supergirl in other shows as well. But here, they put all their money and effort into it and made a good fight out of it. And of course, it makes sense his anger going out as bloody all his family's bloody dead and all his friends are dead after that Joker gas attack. That is mental, and I'm not surprised people are wanting to see him in his own show. And apparently Warner Brothers is listening, and that says all you need to know really. But of course, the Smallville TV show Superman comes back as well. And I never watched Smallville, but I have vague memories from when I was a kid of other people and my family watching it. Now, it was a very popular show back in the day. One of the first ever modern superhero shows. And it really wasn't really about superheroes. It was more about, of course, they had like their own version of the Justice League and stuff. But from what I remember, it was all about developing the Clark Kent character. And again, another actor who's made it his own. And I say that and I forgot his name. Tom Welling, yes, that's the one. He comes back here as a small scene as Clark Kent. And he's back to his old farming ways. He looks like he's gotten away from the mantle of the Superman. It's been 10 years I think or so since the last episode, and he's got two children now, and of course it would have been nice to see the Lex Luthor version of Smallville. Apparently he's a really good version. President as well. Good white suit he's had. But no, the actor Michael Rosenbaum couldn't make it. But they had a very good substitute. They had the Lex Luthor from Supergirl, who appeared and was really corny and a bit cheesy, going against Clark Kent Superman. He's trying to kill all the Supermen, but you can't kill this Smallville Superman even without his powers. Well, you can punch him in the face. Really good stuff. But it was classic Superman, just always the good, always the coolness of being good. Sometimes you forget how cool being a Boy Scout is. Of course, nowadays people like anti-heroes, but wow, what a scene that was as well. Even again by someone who's not actually as emotionally involved as some other people. So God knows how many of you guys who watch Smallville and been waiting for this kind of scene react to this. Of course, it would have been nice to see him with his powers, but you didn't need to. And what they had was a fitting end to a character that has been developed for probably the most better developed Clark Kent characters ever. The Clark Kent iteration, for many, is the definitive one. You know what I mean? What else happened? Part 2, Part 3, The Flash. Of course, you have the old Flash, John Wesley Shipp, returning as the 1990s Flash. And as suspected, Barry Allen didn't actually die in Crisis. What a surprise! But they did a good job in the Flash show. Did reviews, check them out, of setting that whole emotional baggage in Barry's head, making him think that he's gonna die, and how the repercussions of that were dealt with. And of course, in such a big event, it's not gonna feel as big actually when it happens, and it turns out that it's not actually him dying. Then it's like previous episodes were had him bloody depressed over this stuff, but now he's not actually gonna die. But that whole scene was very well done, very hectic, very Cosmic Treadmill that doesn't make any sense. But the Cosmic Treadmill was powering some antimatter machine. I didn't understand what that was all about. Maybe I need more explanation. But he's about to Grant Gustin's about to step onto the treadmill because someone has to be there to stop it. But no, John Wesley Shipp's Flash from the 90s goes on it, and again, I've already watched clips of that show, but the way they interspliced a little segment from that show with him talking to Dr. McGee, I think, his love interest from that show, and showing what he's thinking as he takes his last moments and dissipates. It really was emotional stuff anyway, nevertheless. So I hope they mention that in the Flash show. Barry is he made a good sacrifice, you know what I mean? What else is there to say? Yes, I think, of course, there's a lot of stuff I'm probably missing, so, you know what I mean, let me know what's happening. So yeah, the cliffhanger of part 3 is that, of course, Kingdom Come Superman has been rewritten from that Paragon sheet from the Book of Destiny, and Lex Luthor has made himself a Paragon now. From that point onwards, this Lex Luthor went from being a bit cheesy, a bit corny, but still enjoyable, to next level, like, cool to watch. Like, in the subsequent episodes, they really justified, okay, you missed out on Kingdom of Superman, okay, sorry guys. A lot of people were pissed off about that, especially with after they ruined Kevin Conroy's Batman to some people. And of course Smallville, Superman only had one scene. But I think the 2 episodes after that, of course, they had a lot of weeks off, so obviously they had made people sit and think about what happened. And some people were probably pissed that we didn't see more Kingdom Superman, but I guess that was the point. That was the point, to hate Lex Luthor even more for what he's done, and showing how manipulative and how clever he can really be. And that was only the start. And it was a shocking moment. It really was a shocking moment. Again, something you don't expect, but makes sense. It makes sense out of his character that Lex Luthor would do something like that, you know what I mean? Because not just that he hates Superman, and that's the cheesy thing, he just, oh, I'm just a guy who hates Superman. No, he's also a guy who's clever, who's 2 steps ahead, even in such cosmic levels, you know what I mean? It's one of those. Part 4, we move on to him with all the Paragons. It's been a month later. It's interesting what they're doing for a month. I think they explained it. They're all training mentally and physically in the Vanishing Point. I like how they got that thing from Legends of Tomorrow, all linking it all in. Very good stuff, very good stuff. Like, use locations you've already used, just for budget reasons, but also for story reasons. It makes sense. And also, you don't have to, like, make new shit, like, from the comics. Like, you can just use stuff, substitute stuff from CW to make it part of the Christ storyline, like they did with Lila. She's now, of course, she was her own character in Arrow, but now she's actually the Harbinger character from the comics, like she was supposed to. And of course, we have Harrison Wells just make that character a pariah instead of just making a whole new character out of nowhere. You know what I mean? And again, of course, the Monitor he was introduced in last year's crossover as well. So everything feels like it's natural. It doesn't feel like, oh, all of a sudden there's a crisis for no reason. You know what I mean? Even the name Crisis was used beforehand. Crisis on Earth X. And of course, I'll be comparing those Crisis crossovers in a few minutes or so after I talk about all the parts. Part 4. Ezra Miller. Yeah, that's the first thing I think of when I think of Part 4. Wow. I say wow a lot, don't I? But this was warranted. I did get spoiled on this on the internet, but it's one of those things that you can't be angry at. You can't be angry, you just have to be disappointed in yourself for being stupid enough to go on Instagram after it came out. But it was still a shocking moment nevertheless for everyone to see that. And the way they changed aspect ratios as well. I like that. Only movies can have Ezra Miller, only that aspect ratio. You can't have Ezra Miller in that CW, disgusting. No, I'm joking. It's one of those. I like how they made fun of each other's suits a bit. Really good stuff, man. It's the DC movies and DC television are connected, as most of us have been hoping it would be. And I think it's just a genius move on DC's part to really cement itself as its own thing, away from the Marvel thing. I don't like comparing it, but it stands them out apart from the crowd. But it also makes sense within their own comic line and makes sense with what they've already introduced. If all the old movies are part of the multiverse, why not these new movies as well? People are not getting confused anymore. We are living in the golden age of comic books. People are not going to get confused that there's a Flash on the TV and Flash on the screen, on the big screen. You know what I mean? But I think people are talking about that moment so much that people are not actually talking about the other moments in that episode, like how the aspect ratio changed, reflecting him in the Speed Force, going through all these different moments in the Arrow versus timeline, almost like an Endgame type situation. You have to revisit certain events again, but from different points of view and different things being changed. It's almost like a trippy experience. You have to get the Paragons from these flashbacks, and you see Batwoman talking to Arrow about what made our bond stronger, even though we didn't know each other beforehand, but now they have to be strong for this crisis. They have to be like they've always been there for each other. You know what I mean? Even if you know each other from 6 years ago, if you know each other from last year's crossover, you know what I mean? Really cool moments there. Of course, Supergirl's pissed off at Lex Luthor, and Lex Luthor just being a snarky bastard, and just reminding Kara of how dangerous he can be and how he killed her parallel universe cousin, as he said. Really, really funny stuff. But I like how, again, his cleverness is being used, his manipulation, going to the Monitor himself on the dawn of time, trying to convince him that but using it for good. What he thinks is good. He thinks he's the good guy in this story, and he thinks he's doing the right thing. Getting the Monitor obviously on face value, it looks like he's getting the Monitor to not go into the dawn of time, so he stops everything. But of course, there's always an ulterior motive. He's probably using the Monitor's powers. He probably was planning to use the Monitor's powers for his own ends. But of course, Supergirl stops him. Of course, it is weird how they went back. I like how the whole flashback introducing how the Monitor actually came back actually introduced the antimatter. What's it called? Antimatter? Yeah, antimatter universe. He opened the gate essentially for that, just like in the comics. Developing on his family. I like how he mentioned that in part 2 about his family died. That was a new dimension to him. We saw more new emotions from the actor. Obviously, he's a new godly being. He was very much considered a very stoic character. He's very stoic in the last crossover, but now he's more characterization here. But not too much in it. You want to have the cool factor as well. His haircut's bloody mad. Very, very good, very comic accurate, but it's very interesting as well. Yeah, but of course, I did like how they expanded on the family and how he actually he opened the way to the antimatter universe. But the whole subplot of them trying to stop that event from happening, it seemed a bit redundant at the end when they're like, "Oh, infinite universes." So okay, what was the point of doing that then? You know what I mean? Except to have some cool moments, which I'll give them props for. I'll give them the benefit under that on that case. So you have the end of part 4. Stop there, cut there. End of part 4, like I said at the start of this video, some of the battles weren't as big, and this battle at the end of part 4 should have been a lot bigger than it was. But I get it, it was only 7 Paragons. CGI was on point, probably some of the best CGI I've seen in my life. The biggest highlight in my opinion was just seeing all these Paragons like a Justice League trying to help each other out. Ryan Choi in the fight, but he now believes in himself a bit more, and that's cool to see. Of course, he could have been like an extra character like what you just hear for comic Easter egg sake, but he was actually a really good character, and they did a good job in a short amount of space of time of introducing him to the team. Iris West coming over to tell him how his humanity is what's needed and it's not a weakness. You know what I mean? Trying to save his family, his baby, his wife. Really good stuff. He's a good actor as well, I think I'd like to see more of him. He's a very likeable guy, and they had to do that, innit? And of course, it's hard to introduce new characters in such a big event that's crossing over everything, but I think it worked in everyone's favour. In the story and for the show itself. I like how he's narrating all the events of the month that just passed by. Like, he's the standby, he's the human looking upon all these godlike superheroes and telling them the story of a legend of how they waited in the vanishing point, but now they're fighting against the Anti-Monitor. You see him. I wish we actually saw more of Anti-Monitor's, like, what's his agenda? I wish we actually saw him speak a bit more, you know what I mean? But of course, pressed for time. In the comics, he's just there to, like, kill everyone and make everything his homeland antimatter, basically full of antimatter. So not too much characterization anyway. But I wish we got a bit more of that, just like the Monitor had. But it's fine, that's a nitpick. What I do like in that final battle though is Oliver becoming the Spectre. Obviously, he got the powers a bit too quickly. I wish we saw again. Hopefully, maybe we see in the Arrow season finale, we'll see like flashbacks or something like, him training to be the Spectre. But of course, he says himself, he trained his whole life for this. Like, he deserves this, to be a godlike being, almost Obi-Wan Kenobi-like, let alone Sith-like. Just being like, You, Anti-Monitor, are not getting past me. You're not getting to kill everyone. But you see this Dragon Ball Z energy going around as they hold on to each other and they're blasting Dragon Ball power. Bloody hell, it makes me want to watch an anime like that. It makes me want to watch that again. So much stuff. So much stuff. That was the best. That was the battle I really wanted to hone in on. You know what I mean? That was the battle, really. Two godlike beings. Stephen Amell has truly transcended this universe, you know what I mean? It's one of those. And he makes the Arrowverse. He literally has made the Arrowverse now, which is so cool to see. But a thing I don't get is like all the Paragons looking upon them, like using their love, hope, and like their each individual trait. They're just looking upon Stephen Amell and the Anti-Monitor. Like, so was that supposed to help him make this new universe? I'm guessing it was, but I wish they conveyed that a bit better. Like maybe we saw some cool CGI in the mind or something, like, because it just looked like they were staring at the battle between the Anti-Monitor and the Spectre, and we're like, we've helped, you know what I mean? But it all culminated in another death for Oliver Queen, and I think this was a better one. You could say the emotion was a bit sucked out again, because it was like another death, just as he became like, just as you saw him become a badass again, you know what I mean? So and you could say it was another cop out. It didn't feel as if it was it didn't feel as emotional as it should have been to many people. But I don't know, because I haven't watched Arrow that many times. I only watched the first season, so maybe you guys let me know if you felt emotionally invested. Of course you would, but not as like sad as you could have been, if you know what I mean. But again, Barry and Sarah have a lot of time to gel together, and they both were loving. Of course, it would have been interesting to see the whole Arrow cast with Stephen Amell as he dies in the show, not in real life. But I think they'll do that for the. I think they'll do that for the finale. They'll find a way. He's a Spectre. His consciousness lives on somehow a bit. You know what I mean? He left a message. Yeah. So Barry and Sarah have to say goodbye all over again, and I like how the end is the beginning. That felt like really spiritual, very like this death means something. You know what I mean? Even though the Anti-Monitor comes back again, of course. But his death is not. His death is not in vain, and it will never be in vain as long as the Age of Heroes still remains. Really good stuff. And I think Stephen Amell really portrays that godlike being really well, and how he has still the emotion of the Tear being killed, but also the stoicness, the might, the realization that he is now a new person. He's not even like just Oliver Queen. He is now another being melded into one being. Like, he really portrays that really well, even though the costume might have been a bit raggy, a bit looked like a drug king or something. Like a drug. Oh, sorry. Not a drug king. A crackhead. You know what I mean? I wish they made him glow or something. But you know what? It's fine. Who reads Spectre comics anyway? Yeah, who reads them? So the final part, I'm only going to speak a bit about the last 2 minutes, because I think I've gone on a bit too long. But I just love talking about this kind of stuff, you know. Bebo, 10 out of 10. Nothing more said than that. I like how they now slowly but realise that they're all part of the same Earth, and Earth Prime. And I've seen like people talk about, oh, now Earth 1 is now the movie universe. I don't know if that's strictly true yet. I think that's what they're trying to do, but they didn't actually do that in the show, so I don't know why loads of people are saying that. But I think that's what they should do, and I think the movie universe is now introduced anyway, so it doesn't matter what number they are. They're all equally important Earths, okay, except for Earth Prime. Earth Prime's the main one. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see Black Lightning became a bloody Justice League member within a day. You know what I mean? It's like, bloody hell. He's got involved in, his family died, his family came back to life, and now he's a Justice League member, all in like a space of like 24 hours in real time, in that crisis time, of course. With this new Earth, there's now a new timeline, there's now a new memories. But of course, I like how Martian Manhunter had to make everyone remember the old timeline. That was really cool stuff. And it's cool to see Barry and Sarah again have more scenes with them together. That was nice to see. You don't realize you didn't get that before you get given those scenes. You're like, oh crap, I never realized Barry and Sarah don't really talk to each other that much. Like, you never really have scenes with them both together, and now they're both both see there is friendship there. You know what I mean? Like you're showing it. You're not telling us. You know what I mean? You're developing that further, and hopefully that them two are the staples of the leaders of this new wave of superheroes that come after the legacy of the Green Arrow. You know what I mean? So you have the Justice League, and they are super friends. They'll call each other super friends. I don't think they're still allowed to call each other Justice League. I don't know why they're not allowed to call themselves Justice League. Warner Brothers, just do it, man. Like, these guys capture the essence of what the Justice League is all about. And of course, if you want to make a Justice League movie again, you can make one again. There can be another Justice League in another Earth, Earth 1, alongside the Earth Prime Justice League. Barry getting so excited, and of course Supergirl with her giddy face. Melissa Benoist always knows how to do a good giddy face. And then Barry Allen reveals, we all know what it is, the table of all the seats. Comfy chairs, actually. Gamer chairs with really cool symbols on. I didn't think they would have two Kryptonians in the Justice League, but they did. And Martian Manhunter is there, as he should be. Black Lightning is there, the new boy. Batwoman, of course, we need a Bat character in there. And Sarah Lance and Barry Allen, who's been there since the very beginning, almost. And I like how they leave a spare seat for Green Arrow. And maybe a new Green Arrow will rise and sit on that place, but I don't think they will. I think they just leave that empty to remember who started this. You know what I mean? Like, that's mental. Like, Stephen Amell's like legacy as an actor is going to be like, he's like Robert Downey Jr. of this whole thing. Like, you can't take that away from him. Like, you just can't. Like, I don't care if you like the shows or not, mate. You know what I mean? It's one of those. His memorial, he have his suit hung up. They light a fire as well. Just really cool stuff. Really, really cool stuff, eh? And I was getting goosebumps at the end of that. You know what I mean? Getting goosebumps. Like so much after this crazy stuff, the biggest goosebump was the Justice League being made. Like, that was it. Forget everything else. Forget all the alien shit. Forget Green Lantern being the movie being made a canon. Forget that. It's mad. We should be grateful to live in a time like this, to be honest, in terms of comic book fans. Wow. You guys are lucky who have read comic books for years and now seeing this on the big screen. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. But in the best way possible. So yeah, I think that's where I'm going to leave it on for today. Again, I just wanted to do another rambling discussion about my thoughts and feelings towards this, because they deserve to be in my... I just deserved to... I didn't deserve. They deserved to be spoken about in that way, you know what I mean? They deserved all the plaudits for all their years of hard work and leading up to this event, and all the events they've done since and after. They will do more, but yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll try to do better discussion videos, maybe more pictures. It's been a while since the last episode came out, actually. So this video is gonna be a bit late to upload. So yeah, let me know your thoughts down below. Leave a like, comment, subscribe. Constructive criticism of how you want me to do my videos in the future. What kind of video ideas do you want me to talk about? And yeah, see you guys next time. Bye.